Hello, and welcome to episode 23 of Body, the Cloud9 Fancast. Today we'll be discussing Cloud9's second undefeated week with their matches against Immortals and CLG, as well as their upcoming matches against Team Envy and Echo Fox. I'm your host Havokpus, and today I'm joined by...
frozencreek. I'm actually still sick. Last week I said I wasn't, so that's probably why we won. And also, every time you open up the podcast with a big hello, all I can think of is Sneaky going, "Hello, YouTube."
Hello, YouTube!
Well,
Actually, now that you think about it, that actually does sound very similar.
and I'm also here. It's everyone's
Oh, yes.
everyone's favorite Pie Magic Man, me, Pie Magic Man.
The return. Always good to have Pie Magic Man on the show. Everyone's favorite Pie Magic Man. So, yeah, how are you guys? It's been a pretty great weekend for Cloud9.
Overall, been pretty good in basketball. We won our rivalry game over the weekend, and we got a ton of snow. So
Oh, I like snow.
no, we don't.
I do.
Well, you don't live up here, or you would
we
not
get
like
we get
snow.
we get like a few inches, and then everything just shuts down for the day. It's great.
That's pretty nice.
I know you should move here so you can experience it.
When it threatens to snow, we close down.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to snow. If we just get like an inkling that like it'll probably snow, just everything's done for the day.
Or yeah, ours is like, hey, you guys are gonna get 12 inches tonight. Try and leave early off work so you're not late.
Oh, that sucks.
It's not quite that bad, and I mean, thanks to climate change, but I can't confirm or deny that's actually a thing because I'm not a scientist or some shit like that. To all you people out there who might not believe in climate change, we haven't gotten that much snow this winter.
Oh, at least it's not as bad as usual, I suppose. Anyway, first segment of the show, time for a little fantasy update. Pew, 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 pew. So far, Trey and Frozen remain undefeated. Myself and Ian, aka the tromboneman, sit at 1-1 in the middle of the pack, while Pie Magic Man and Ian's friend Yawning
Yanking
Trombone, whatever, have yet to pick up a win. So it's looking to stay pretty competitive.
Okay, like if that second CLG game didn't happen, like everything was looking so nice. I was just gonna go in, slide into that win, and then that second CLG game.
They really screwed you over, man.
That's 2 weeks in a row that Jensen went on his ear
Oh yeah.
and shit the bed.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. But also a friendly reminder to those folks at home that are playing fantasy. EU players sometimes only play one game, so make sure you maximize your points by starting EU players that play 2 games that week instead of just one.
This week, Splice is one of them. I'm not sure who the second team is. I just know that Splice is worth picking up.
Yeah. Splice is probably the only one. Fnatic plays twice. I have
okay,
Reckless.
So Caps and Reckless.
Yeah, Caps, Reckles.
Uh,
I call him Reckles.
Trashy, Suncux maybe, and
Senka's
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
because I picked him up literally before we started recording.
Oh wow.
I picked up Mickey X and Kabi.
Yeah, that sounds like a yeah. I noticed that. I can't think of any other picks to really watch out for. NA specifically, I'm not sure. It's kind of been up or down. I guess anyone from Cloud9 since they've been winning a lot.
Just like watch out from anyone from Dig because they have not performed as well as I'd like.
Yeah, Phoenix 1 players have been looking alright though. Inori's been putting up some good numbers for me.
Yeah. And Acadian, there is a chance Acadian might not be on the team, and he could be worth is starting now. I'm starting him over Rain over this week, so
That's probably a good idea, because Rainover has not been playing well.
yeah. But that's beside the point.
But you know who else hasn't been playing well? Hobelter.
Who?
Paul
Oh
Belter.
shit! Transition time.
I think that was the perfect way to get into this C9 versus IMT. And also, let me voice my disappointment in drafting Pobelter so early.
Oh, go ahead. Preach to the choir. Are you gonna preach?
I gotta get my numbers up first.
Okay, he has to get his stats ready, ladies and gentlemen. He's about to go on a tear. He has to prepare his anger.
Just looking at these numbers, expecting Pobelter. He was the last few seasons he was a top 10 mid laner in NALCS, and because of Alex Ish, I think he's actually dropped to the 11th place mid in LCS by a few of the stats. Let me pull up the specific ones.
I remember last split in the summer, people were saying Pobelter and Jensen, they're jockeying for best mid laner under Bjergsen. I don't know who to pick. They're both really good.
Paul Belter's 11th in KDA.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's a.
He has the most deaths by 12.
Well, while Pie Magic Man is getting all those stats ready for us, Frozen, what did you think of Game 1 and Game 2 of the series overall? I think Game 1 was great. We played that super cleanly, probably the best we've played with this roster so far. Contracts is leasing continues to impress me. I don't know about you, but boy howdy. Playmaker for sure.
Yeah, that first first blood kind of helped out a lot because it allowed Jensen to take control of a matchup that he had a soft counter in, and it allowed contracts to jump off to in early spring, because up until then it wasn't looking forward, or it wasn't looking up towards much, but that first blood that literally was two health away from being an Immortals first blood helped us out so much.
Yeah, I think the way that he has been playing so far is really great. I also think it's interesting that he looks really comfortable on both sides of the Kha'Zix Lee matchup, because those seem to be the new Rek'Sai Gragas, I guess, because what one team picks, they're going to pick the other. And the fact that he's really competent on both sides is really great to see. I also think Orianna is probably one of Jensen's best champions, because the amount of skill that he displays on it is always really impressive. In just ball placement, how he moves it between shielding and attacking and using shockwaves and stuff. So it's really great to see. Also, Pie Magic Man is blinking, so I guess he has those stats ready.
Okay, part of it was the stats, and also just because before I put my button to turn the mic on. So yeah, the stats I have is that Pobelter is ranked last for KDA with a 1.7. He has more deaths than any other mid laner. The next is Huhi with 36, and Pobelter has 48. And then finally, he also has the lowest kill participation of any mid laner with 55.6. The next closest is Alex Ish with 57.4%. Those two are the only ones under 60%. The next closest one would be Ninja with 61.4. So that's looking like Envy as a whole isn't very mid-centric, but that's pretty far below the average.
I can keep going if you want, because those are only some of his awful categories. He's second to last in goal difference at 10. He's pretty much last in XP difference at 10. And he's second to last in creep score difference at 10. while Golden Glue is actually last by quite a bit. So he's pretty much last or dead last in every category.
And I really have to wonder what brought on these changes since he was so solid last season. Is it just the fact that Hooney and Rainover aren't around to draw so much pressure away from him? Or even the fact that, like, Wild Turtle, Adrian were a pretty solid bot lane, so in comparison to Cody-san Ale, which seemed to be getting bullied pretty hard, it just... Is it the fact that Pobelter himself is not playing that well? Is he getting pressured more, or is just the team kind of collapsing around him, and it's hard to look good in a situation like he's in?
I definitely think that it's a pressure aspect. Considering that Cody-san and Ole are both fairly new to the team and perhaps LCS in general, a lot of more pressure is put on Pobelter to, be that carry and be that big damage bringer to the team. And since, he has that struggling bot lane, maybe he's thinking about that more. Maybe Dardoch is also putting pressure on him since, Dardoch is a very pushy guy. He may be saying, look, Pobelter, you gotta put up and do well for the team because Cody-san's not gonna do it, Ole's not gonna do it. I don't even think Flame is gonna do it. And I think all this pressure amidst all this crazy roster swapping, taking from a really synergistic, good-looking team to a bunch of randos, I think that's definitely the case. What do you think, Frozen? Agree, disagree?
I think it's a lot of both of it. Paul Belter was arguably, you could argue that he was one of the best, if not the best, performing mids last split. And he had a really a solid team around him, and he doesn't now. Everyone is pretty much is suspect, and it's not even down to just him underperforming, though he has been bad, like GBM bad almost. Dardoch's pretty low in almost all of the key 10-minute stats also, so it's not just him, it's people just aren't performing all around the map.
Yeah, and I think that really ramps up the pressure for all the members of the team, not just Pobelter or Dardoch. Since everyone's not performing, they're really going to be pushing themselves to try and pick up the slack, and I think that's causing a lot of stress amongst the team. I think you might even extend that to maybe pick and bans, because their pick and bans really aren't anything that special, and I think it allows Reaper to give us a draft that, okay, we're going to put you on something that is comfortable, and you can just abuse whatever they pick, and yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the last question that falls with it, in Immortals, everyone was a veteran for a long time, as well as the important thing, be able to speak the same language. Immortals, right now, the skills kind of everywhere, plus you have Ale and Flame as imports, so communication's not quite there. Who's the shot caller? The talent's there, but it's the cohesion there is probably their biggest issue.
Yeah, for sure. Well, since the Immortals match was fairly clean, I'm not sure what else we can really talk about there. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we shift over to the big discussion topic of Cloud9 versus CLG?
Just adding that Orianna has always kind of been one of Jensen's pocket picks, even when she wasn't meta or played that often. He would bring her out and pop off. So it was nice to see him on his old sex robot again. So
any final thoughts, Pi?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like Oriano is always a pick that he could fall back on. That it's one of those picks that's always pretty strong, but not always on the forefront of the meta. And the fact that it's pretty good right now, as we'll talk about in a second. I like him on that pick a lot, but the other thing I'm really liking is just his pick diversity. The fact that there's a lot of champions that he can play, and that he gets a chance to play them. So it's gonna be fun to watch him throughout the split. Now that we're like 4 series in, and he's already played a good amount of champions.
Just two more things, and then we can go on. Um, Smoothies also showed off quite a diverse pool. Also, he's played almost every meta support at this point, besides Zyra and Lulu, and Lulu should get a little more play this patch. So maybe he'll break her out this week. And there was one other point. I forgot what it was. Just take it out.
It's fine. But yeah, big ups to Smoothie. I think we definitely need to give him as much praise as we can, because I think he's one of the things that's really shaped this roster up to be such a powerful roster. His in-game shot calling, especially during team fights and later on in the game, have been really, really good. So definitely big ups to Smoothie. Now transitioning over to this C9 versus CLG game, I have to say it was pretty exciting. Sometimes when I didn't want it to be. I think game 1 was really good. We drafted a lot of, CLG drafted a lot of poke in zone through the Varus and Orianna, and I think this is kind of a theme that they proceeded throughout the series, giving Huki Orianna to be able to kind of be that initiator with the shockwave, and he was getting a lot of really good shockwaves off, and then the team just kind of collapse and pile on everybody. So I think that was really interesting. But what are your guys' opening thoughts on the series?
My opening thought is Smoothie's Tom Kench was so good in this series. Like, he saved a lot of these fights for sure.
He really did play it perfectly, or as close to perfectly as you can with the Tom Kench.
Like, he wasn't ever too aggressive, and he would, his devours were pretty well timed. That's my first takeaway. My second takeaway would be that man, is Contract scared of anything? Like, now that we keep going, and Contract's just, is he ever not aggressive? And I love it. Like even when he's behind, he still tries to make some aggressive plays. He doesn't just try and fall back and farm. He's still more proactive than you would expect him to be for being a rookie and also being behind.
I think to add on to that, he's not only aggressive, but he's smartly aggressive. Like, he's not just jumping in willy-nilly. I think he's jumping in, but he's selecting the right targets. He's knowing when to kind of go and make a play and know when his team is around him to help support that. And the team is actually really being supportive with his aggressiveness. Whenever he jumps in, they go and back him up, because they know if he goes in, they're likely to at least get a trade of kills out of it. So I think he's shaping up to be a really great prospect in that he can control his aggression. Unlike Rush, who was just kind of just jumping in.
One of the really nice things to see was, well, I guess there were two. The first one is that even if we're having a bad game, everyone just kind of shits the bed at the same time. So instead of everyone taking turns in shit hitting the bed, all of them just drop it in game 2. Impact got really far behind in lane. Contracts got out jungled. I don't know what Jensen was doing on Azir when he was playing. Have that, especially that. Or no, that was last week when he went for that 1v1, right?
That was for CLG where he.
Okay, that was one of the most dumbest things I've ever seen in
where he
in
had
my life.
no
I feel
mana.
like, but at least all of it happened in one game, and we were able to put it together for game 3, which I have a lot of questions about. But I thought that it was good to see us put it back together after taking a shit all over the Rift. but it's also good to see that even when we're not playing as good as we hope, that we still pick up a win on the day, because in a 18 series season, like there's a lot of times where like you're not gonna play well, and it's important to pick up wins when you're not playing well.
Yeah, definitely. I think this game really challenged us, and we'll get to back to the sort of the overall picture after the CLG series. But I think I want to touch on game two just a little bit more, specifically Impact and Jensen, because I think they did kind of underestimate, maybe disrespect their lane opponents, because they were playing really aggressive than when maybe they shouldn't have. Also, I think Azir just maybe not might be a pick that fits the meta right now. He takes a lot to ramp up. He needs like Nashor's Tooth, Rylai's, and then maybe like a Void Staff or something just to be really relevant. And I think that might have really hurt our team's ability to really fight them, especially with triple tank. Uh, Pi, what do you think about the triple tank comp? Could it have worked, or were we just using this as kind of like a throwaway game?
Um, I mean the triple tank comp can work when you have Jensen on Azir and Sneaky on Varus, so you'll have some poke, and then you'll have your tanks to protect your main damage sources. But the problem here is that they have Darshan on Trundle, who's the tank killer. Like, you just hit R, steal their stats, steal their life, heal up, become super tanky. You have Aframu on Malzahar. Find if you get someone's mildly out of position, you can flash R them and burst them down. Now your damage source is gone. So, in addition, like they'd have to play this comp very well against what CLG drafted. And the other big thing is, like I said, Darshan on that Trundle versus tanks, and they got him ahead versus Impact, and that was huge. Impact wasn't able to split push. He was under pressure the entire time. Like, watching Impact not play at like the top tier level as always, because he's been set so far back, is that's a rare sight, and CLJ did really well to play around that.
I think a lot of it had to do with how Dardock, or not Dardock, Darshan played too. Every time Impact would go to escape, he'd hit a beautiful pillar to knock him back, and that they really took advantage of that. And it doesn't seem that contracts spend enough time awarding or hovering around trying to find out where Smithy was. But I don't think that a 3 tank comp is inherently bad. I think it would have been nice if Ray came in and played Jace or something. I think that could have been fun. I just didn't think that we picked our fights well, including that Jensen on Azir trying to do a Shrima shuffle into alting Orianna towards a turret that wasn't even into turret range. Because up until that point, he was 10 CS up and bullying Orianna on her tower. Then he just randomly decided he was going to try and if he won her, which at that point he completely threw away his lead, because Azir early his best thing is his range and how much damage he can do from far. And then once he ulted into Orianna, like, she could come up close and hit him with Qs, Ws, and an ultimate. Like, it was just dumb. And maybe he was expecting contracts to come sooner, but either way, it was kind of a dumb fight to pick because he was already winning lane.
Yeah, I think the main weakness of our comp here is that our carries just kept getting caught out, or Sneaky would have to go try to answer some of the Trundle split push, or the waves in the side lanes that were pushing really hard. So since we're already down one carry, it made us just extremely hard to fight. And like you guys said, Darshan did what Darshan has been known for, and that's just being really good with split pushy champions. So the game just kind of got out of hand from there, and we really couldn't bounce back. But luckily, game 3, we actually had a really interesting comp. Jensen picked Katarina, Impact got the Shen, which he's been looking fantastic on, and Sneaky got Ashe, and we got Malzahar for Smoothie. So I think it was actually kind of an interesting composition for Game 3. We played fights all right. Sometimes it went our way, sometimes it went CLG's way. But I think the real winner here is two winners. Smoothie shot calling, which was great, and Impact's masterful pushing in the side lanes and knowing how to manipulate the side lane waves to our advantage. Because I think with that and his use of the teleport and Stand United really put CLG in a pressured situation. Even if they won fights, they really couldn't go for these big objectives because they would have to answer these really heavy pushing waves. So I think Impact is really what saved us the series.
Yeah, and one of our biggest strengths all split has been our ability to control side waves. It seems like every time the mid game comes along that we're controlling the side lanes, and it's helped us get a bunch of towers because as a team, Cloud9's not great at getting the first tower, but they're amazing at getting the first 3s. So, and then from then on, they're taking their lead to all of the side waves and keeping those under control, which is something that we didn't do all that great last split.
Yeah, I think probably one of the most important things that helps win games is just side wave pressure, because I think that aspect's just really huge, and I think some teams really ignore it, and that's what bites them in the butt. So it's really great that we've gotten a hold of this concept, recognize how important that is, and yeah, I definitely think that we've definitely improved a lot from last split, and I think we can only go up from here. I was gonna ask what you thought.
Well,
Actually,
it's perfect, because let me tell you what I think. One of the things was with the team fights, well, Impact was off split pushing. Because they have like the dual global threat with Shen, like he can TP into a fight and he can also ult into a fight if needed. He was able to push a lot further. Cloud9 was able to just kind of draw the fight out while he was able to get a lot of damage done on the turrets, and that's where most of their split pressure came from. Just Impact's ability to outmaneuver the map over Darshan because of Shen.
yeah. And towers is what wins you games. It doesn't matter how many kills you get. So, good job, Impact. You did good, buddy.
One of my biggest worries about this match was our pick and ban phase, just because I thought that banning Misfortune last when Lulu was up, and then picking Katarina, I just thought that was kind of weird because Misfortune's only CC is death, while Lulu has a shield, her polymorph, and her ultimate, which can completely throw Jensen's completely out of his ultimate. Oh, and exhaust, and Lulu lane's just as good into Malzahar. So I just thought that was a really weird choice to make if you went in planning to pick Katarina, but at the end of the day, we did win, and I'm not going to pretend like I know more than the team does. I just thought that was a kind of a weird trade-off to make.
They actually, Cloud9 actually released a video today where it was kind of, I think it was called like Reflection or like Reflecting, where they kind of just looked back on the series and what they thought, and I think it's really interesting because it kind of gave us a little insight into how pick and bans work, and it's more, Reaper kind of communicates with the players and asks like, all right, do you feel comfortable going into this matchup? Which matchups are you comfortable with? You know, which champions do you not want to play, or do you not want to play against? That kind of thing. So it's a very, I think, reciprocal relationship of him understanding the meta and the players kind of communicating how comfortable they are with certain picks in the meta. So I think they were fairly comfortable against the Lulu. I think we played it. Did we play it against Immortals? Yeah, we played it against Immortals like the day before, and we played it with Malzahar, and it turned out pretty well. So I guess they just felt fairly comfortable in that matchup. Because it was this exact same lane matchup. It was Ashe Malzahar versus Varus Lulu. So
Or yeah,
I guess they
I just
they just felt comfortable into it.
I just think it's weird to pick a Katarina into
No,
that
yeah,
too.
yeah. I was a little puzzled as well, especially since Jensen took Ignite instead of Teleport,
Yeah.
because it kind of killed a lot of his map mobility, especially since he's not really known as a roaming player. He's more of a lane dominant player. So it just kind of felt a little weird that he didn't give that extra little bit of utility towards his team so he could kind of move around the map a little bit better. But I guess it worked out in the end.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, all that matters is getting a W. So
Exactly. But I think final thoughts on the CLG series before we move ahead. It was a rough series, but I think this is good for us. We need to be challenged because challenges show where our weak spots are. Challenges show where we need to improve, and it's overall very good for growth. TSM last split in summer 2016 had almost no challenges really, and they really didn't look that great on an international stage, and they didn't really look like they grew a whole lot. You know, if we want to grow and truly be a top team, we need these types of challenges so we can get bigger and better each week. So I think this series was really good and really educational for the team. Yes.
Pie Magic Man, anything? You've been kind of quiet.
Oh, I mean, you guys are saying it all. I could just repeat what you said again with my pretty voice, if you'd like.
That would make me feel a bit smarter.
Oh, I guess I'll review what you said. No, I'm really liking how Cloud9's been looking. It's really good for NA as a whole if they're not the best, and bar none. It's really nice that CLG can show that they're still up at still up there competing at the top even with no roster changes. And I'm really excited that we have a lot more games of League to go.
Yeah, same here. Now, before we talk about our matches this weekend, Frozen, I believe our matches are on 7.2 this weekend, correct?
Yes, matches should be. I'm not 100% sure if Warwick is live or not, though.
He may not be. I think they have some weird rule about champions that get changed aren't available for the first week, or maybe that's just new champions. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't specifically read anything, so I can't say.
Yeah, but this patch seems to be fairly interesting. We have Warwick's rework, which I'm hoping he at least gets a little bit of play. We have Lulu and Nidalee buffs, lethality buffs as well. So lethality now grants 60% flat armor pen instead of 40. So we could probably see Jhin and Varus going for the armor pen builds a lot more now. Nerfs to jungle camps, so junglers don't have as much control in the early games in terms of XP leads and such. And Courage of the Colossus shield nerfs. Also interesting to note, not mentioned here because there weren't any, were Rengar and Camille nerfs. So frozencreek, Pie Magic Man, what do you think of 7.2? What do you think we might see?
I don't think that there was enough changed. I think that Camille, Rengar, and LeBlanc need to be fixed immediately because blue side has a 65% a win rate right now, which is stupid. It shouldn't be anywhere near that high, and I think a lot of it has to do with a red side banning LeBlanc, Rengar, and Camille every game. So 7.3 can't come soon enough because there's supposed to be nerfs on those champions. But personally, I'm most excited about seeing a Lulu buff. While I know it's not like a giant buff, she was already like fringe meta, and I think that she might come back in, at least in the support role, for playing a little bit more and not just as the counter pick, because she's my favorite champ to play, though I did prefer to play her a mid lane.
Yeah, the other change I was going to talk about is actually with a champ that's somewhat meta is Katarina. The fact that she has some changes on her E ratio, so her Shampoo is a little bit weaker, along with the fact that Hextech Gunblade got slightly nerfed as well. Katarina might not be, like, she's already kind of fringe picked, fringe banned, but that could fade away a little bit more now that she's weaker. The biggest thing with this patch is definitely the lethality changes. That affects like all the assassins that were updated, like the Zed, Talon, as well as the ADCs that use it, as you mentioned with like Jin and Misfortune. So I think that's really going to be the big player and what changes really take effect with pick and ban.
Yeah, and that also probably I think Jace got a couple nerfs, but these armor pen buffs may balance that out. It also will help Kha'Zix for sure because he's a really big meta jungler right now. So the armor pen buffs will I think definitely help him as well. I hate that people build lethality on Misfortune. I don't like it. That's a whole nother rant. But yeah, I think that overall these could be some really interesting changes that'll probably tie us over before the bigger, more wanted changes that happen in 7.3 with the Rengar and Camille nerfs. But moving on, Cloud9 this weekend will be playing Envy and Echo Fox. Envy first will be played on February 4th at 6 p.m. Eastern. So Envy is at the bottom of the standings at 0-4, have not won a single game. What do you guys think our chances are of winning? Should be a pretty tough matchup, am I right?
I feel bad saying this, but I wish there was like one thing I could say favorably about Envy compared to any other team. I guess they did kind of look good against Immortals, but we already talked about how dysfunctional they were, and they still ended up losing. So Lyra might be their biggest factor here. He definitely, I mean, the fact that they stood up against Immortals with Lyra on board and Ninja back in the mid lane, that would be where I see the biggest factor coming in. Otherwise, I think this one's pretty straightforward.
If you look at the stats, Envy's really not that bad around the board. Like, they're bad, but they're not like last in like in anything, but like their most revealing stat is their Baron control. Their first Baron percentage is 22%, which is by far the lowest in the league, and their Baron control rate is not by far the worst, but they're the worst by a decent amount there also. So it seems that they must just have a pretty bad mid game. So I think that it should be an easy matchup for us. They're not going to be great, and they're probably the worst team that we've played so far. So I don't want to say like it's an easy 2-0, but of all of the games that we should win 2-0, this should be one of them.
Yeah. Going back to Pai's point about Lyra, how do you think Contracts will be able to compete against him? I haven't seen a lot of Lyra since he didn't take the first week off due to visa issues. Do you guys think that he's going to be able to go toe-to-toe with this guy? I know that we can win in the solo lanes because just looking at our gauntlet run, we've pretty much destroyed Envy in top and mid lane. So I don't think that's any question. I think the only thing to kind of put a question mark on is jungle matchups. And I think this will be the case for a lot of upcoming matches since Contracts is the new jungler and he's going to be having to go against a lot of veteran faces. So
I just looked up the stats for junglers, and Alira is second in gold difference at 10, XP difference at 10, and a CS score at 10. So he is a shining spot amongst a team of coal or something, or rough diamonds or something. But the sample sizes are still small, so it's not like he's performed in 10 games. He's only played 5, so in what he's done so far, he's been really good, but as a whole, Envy is still not that great of a team.
all right, good points. Good points. Pie Magic Man, do you have anything else to add?
I mean, regardless of how well Lyra does, just one player at this point, one player can't really carry the team as hard as they used to. So he could be way ahead, but in the pro level, like they'll play around that. They know how to play around that. So
As much of a difference as he could potentially make, I think the matchups across the board are just better for NC9's favor.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree as well.
And Alira is coming from Korea, where farming as a jungler is more important than ganking a ton, and maybe that's why his gold difference, XP, and CS scores at 10 are so high, is because he's farming a lot. So maybe that'll open up the map for contracts to play a bit more aggressive, but I think we'll have to see, just because it's early into Lyra's tenure at Envy.
Yeah, definitely. Let's shift over to Echo Fox then. Echo Fox will be played February 5th at 6 p.m. Eastern. They are 2-2 right now, actually. I think Acadian has been a big spot on the team. He's been a real big playmaker, and I think he's been really pushing the team in a way that the roster couldn't have done previously last year. So my question to you guys is, what does this mean when rookie and rookie go mano a mano?
Yo, I called this shit at the beginning. So Acadian was arguably, if not even arguably, the best jungler in NA Challenger Series last split, just because he was playing on Dream Team, who was obviously a much worse team than Contracts was playing on. And now that he stepped up to Echo Fox, like he's looking amazing. His first blood rate is really good. He's first in first blood rate with first blood in 82% of games. So he's either going hard, being NA's version of Yankos.
Yeah, that's actually kind of impressed me. I think people have been mostly saying that Acadian may give Contracts a run for his money for Rookie of the Split, and he might actually get it, just in how much improvement Echo Fox has kind of seen through these past 2 weeks. Shifting away from this a little bit, what do you guys think of the other lane matchups? I think Impact will do fine against Looper. That could maybe go either way. I'm not so sure about Jensen and Froggen. That'll be probably when people really hype up, because everyone really likes Froggen. But other than that, I think bot lane really wins. Sneaky and Smoothie are just better than Keith and Gate, I think, in my opinion. But what do you guys think about the other matchups?
yeah, I still have no clue what to think about Froggen, because I will be fair, he has been stuck kind of in elo how on Echo Fox for a bit, and he definitely showed why he's good, or why he's considered one of the best in season 2. But I just never know where to place him. He either plays amazing or he's way behind his team and just trying to get his CS and get to the point where he can carry. I still have that notion of him. So that's gonna be the biggest one. He's really good in lane. Jensen might become over aggressive again and fall, but I think that's gonna be a fairly even lane. And bot lane, Keith has made some of the worst positioning mistakes, and Smoothie and Sneaky would definitely be able to capitalize on that. So that's going to be Echo Fox's weak point, I believe, is that bot lane.
Yeah, I think definitely Sneaky and Smoothie really punish, I think, mispositions. I think as we've seen so far this season, and a little bit last season, when Smoothie was the sole starter in bot lane. They both, if you let them get a pick, they'll definitely exploit that. I think one key thing to think about for Froggen is he has a lot of really interesting pocket picks. He has the Anivia, he has the Twisted Fate that he used a couple of times. I think probably the key to defeating Froggen is make sure we take away a lot of his favorite pocket picks that he can kind of use and put him on a fairly standard meta pick that Jensen can then get a good matchup into.
Yeah, and I think that Twisted Fate is still almost always a red side pick, just because you can pick it last. So I think that it comes down to drafting something that plays well into Twisted Fate, and I don't think we've done a great job of that this split, because we did get torn apart by one Twisted Fate. But I think it'll be interesting to see what we do about Anivia, and if Jensen can play into Anivia. Because if you look at the stats, Froggen is top 4 in gold difference at 10, XP difference at 10, and CS difference at 10, and he's like either first, third, or fourth, or second, third, or fourth, I think, in all of those categories. But he's also second in damage per minute, right behind High and above Jensen, and he is first in his team's damage percentage. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how that matchup plays out throughout the series, and what picks are picked to see how either mid laner is going to carry.
Yeah, I think another big point for this and the Envy game is that we don't underestimate our opponents. Even though this does look like a pretty free week, I think we can't go into this mindset of we'll obviously crush it. Stuff can still happen. I think we need to play, focused, play smart, and just, treat it like a normal day at the office, I guess. And I think if, we don't get lazy about it, we should be able to have another 2-0 week.
Yeah, the biggest thing to worry about with Echo Fox is if they pull some more Camille support type shenanigans with draft. But I also have a feeling that Reaper might not want to let Camille go through at all, so... But Echo Fox might always have some crazy draft cheese shenanigans up their sleeve, and I'm a little worried about that now.
One more thing I want to see is Ray play, at least the series. So, prediction-wise, I'm going to say if Ray plays, we're going to drop a game, but I'm still going to give us double 2-0. Just even though I did that last week and I was wrong.
Hi, Magic Man. What are your predictions for this exciting weekend?
If Ray plays the series versus Envy, I'd still say it's going to be pretty clean. If we lose any game, I think it'd be to Echo Fox, but this should be another 2-0 week. I think we stay undefeated.
Yeah, I agree. I think we'll continue this streak for another week. The only game I'm actually kind of worried about is Echo Fox, because they have been looking a little better. So I might give them the 2-1, but we'll definitely 2-0 Envy, and we should at least be able to 2-1 Echo Fox. But yeah, overall, victorious week, strong week. Also, for you fans listening, if you want a really good Clash of the Titans, I think TSM and CLG are also playing. So that should also be another pretty fun match.
On that note, just going a tad bit off topic, we're working with a TSM podcast that is dropping this week. So if you know any TSM fans, tell them to look out for that. We'll post it on our Twitter at least.
Yeah. If you know any TSM fans, or just curious to hear what TSM fans have to say about their own team in a setting much like this, definitely give them a listen. They're pretty nice guys.
Oh, and then block all of your TSM friends afterwards, because all of them are probably cancer.
traitors. You're traitors for being friends with them. What are you doing?
But moving on to moment of the week, I'll let you guys go first. I can't really think of much.
Pi, do you want to start, or should
I
I?
mean, I guess I can start. It's always Smash Fan Pie is gonna go with Genesis 4, Mango vs. Leffen. Big Left put up a good fight, but you can't beat the GOAT. Well, sometimes you can because he's a buster, but you can't always beat the GOAT.
Yeah, I will say that match was actually really intense. I actually teared up a little bit when he won that final set or round, and everyone in the crowd was just like hugging each other and cheering. It was a pretty big moment, and it was pretty cool to watch. Personally, my moment of the week was probably that first blood that Contracts got. That was just an insane play. So that'll be mine. What about you, Frozen?
All right, I thought of one. I guess it's kind of like a series of things, but having SKT come to Twitch, so now everyone in the Western world can watch them, and it was topped off with I think it was Bang, it was Faker and Bang playing it against each other in solo queue, and it was a Rek'Sai or Kha'Zix or something came to gank Faker, and he ghosted and flashed over wall, and then Bang flashed over with Talia and queued and missed him, and you could hear Faker laugh super loud in the background.
Uh, that sounds really funny.
Because it was like a point blank Talia queue, and he whiffed all of them.
Oh, he missed all 4 stones.
Yeah, and Faker survived.
Oh man, that. You kind of have to wonder like how he sees like all these crazy ridiculous plays people throw at him, and he's probably seen a lot since he is probably the Michael Jordan of League of Legends. Just all the crazy shit that he's seen. Oh man, he's probably seen a lot.
But he did lose a 1v1 against Peanut as a Lee Sin. But that was just a mess around game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Peanut is probably the greatest jungler ever. Or at least one of them.
Yeah, so
There's too many good
that's
junglers.
my series of moments of the week, I guess.
Alright, sounds good. Well, I think that'll do us for today. So, thank you for listening to the 23rd episode of Bodied, the Cloud9 Fancast. Feel free to tweet questions and feedback to @C9Bodied or email us at bodiedfancast@gmail.com. Questions might be answered on the next podcast, so get those questions coming in. We still haven't really gotten any. Also check us out on iTunes. Just search Bodied in the iTunes store. You should be able to find it, and that way you can keep up with us on a regular basis.
Yeah, it should be like the second search result. I'm not sure what the first one is. I haven't listened to it because I don't care, but it's easy to find. If there's anywhere else that you want to see us, let us know. Tweet at us, C9Bodied, or email us, and I will look into it.
Yes, always looking to expand. Anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Say goodbye, everybody.
Alright, have a good one.
Thanks for coming to the Pie Magic Man Hour. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.